Going live. Hey guys, it's Ian here. We're going to do a little news report here. I'm going to let you know in on some information. Anyways, we get to read right here. It says over a dozen birds found mysteriously dead on Abbotsford Road. So if we look in the background, you see those power lines right there? Those power lines are in such a way that we're actually looking towards a direction of my, what I call the waterfall clan. Keep that in mind. So, and this is down in that area and such, and look at all the geese right over there, eh? See all the big, what do we call them, horn geese or something? Anyways, trumpeters. So these, let's just go to the writing. The mysterious sight of over a dozen feathered black carcasses on a rural road between Abbotsford and Chilliwack caused one woman to pull over to get a closer look. The birds were the birds inside out, she said. Anyway, so the birds are inside out. I don't know what kind of birds they are. She took photos and stuff. So there was a similar, what do we got here? One Facebook user community group suggested the birds might have hit a semi-truck, which this is, all this guessing is all just guessing. It's what they suggest. I'm not telling you a suggestion. I'm telling you straight up that these guys, let's make sure I'm here. Yes, I am. Hey guys, thanks for the thumbs up. What I'm letting us know is, I'm telling you 100% that I know what these guys are up to. I've been studying them for over 3 years. Go onto my community page when you get a chance there. I'm getting a little bit more aggressive at that. I've uploaded a bunch of pictures from 2016, and I'm going to go through some stuff, and I'm just going to give you brain food and my kind of a little explanation what's going on there and my details, and yeah, go with it however you like. Take it in however you like. So back to here. So they're telling us about a little bit more bird stuff there going on. And a comment that I tried to upload to this thing here, but it was only Facebook. I don't have a Facebook. The comment that I was trying to say to them on the newspaper there was that this would be very easily, if somebody were to take those birds down to a veterinarian who knows how to do proper autopsies and look for weaponry and the surgical tools, and whether it's a carving knife, whether it's an X-Acto knife or whatever, there's techniques for these guys to figure this out. And these birds, we would be able to do that, but that's a cost. But if you can find the cat guy that has dedicated himself to helping with the problems of the cats being surgically mutilated, in the UK, like England or something alone, has like over 500 count now. In just Washington, we hear in Canada and Washington and so on and so forth, where we're up north a bit, if our cats go missing, we don't do a heck of a lot. A small percentage of the people do, say 5-10%. But most of the people here, you either have a hardy outdoor cat, or you have an indoor cat, partially outdoor cat, and he's not very hardy. So you worry about him if he doesn't come back. Or you have a cat that's just indoors, and when he goes out, you just basically know he's not going to come back. You're wishful. You might put up some notes and so on and so forth, but you pretty much know he's not coming back. And we right away just blame skunks and raccoons. And it's because our skunk and raccoon numbers have been brought up in the city, and there's a reason for that, to blame it on, it's easy blames, right? And we're so naive. The cops are specific in Washington, where they've set up a special, in one of the areas there, in one of the municipalities, at least one special unit to look into the cat murders alone. And they've only gotten up to around 15 or something in the past 3 years. But one of the things is, we don't know all those other cats where a guy just walks up and, oh, that's disgusting, picks it up off the road and throws it into the ditch and it never gets seen and stuff. That stuff happens. All the ones where they don't, see, in the UK, what they do is they recognize all those old people and stuff in England. They're in those fancy old brick houses and they got all the cats and stuff and how much they love them and so on and so forth. So this is part of the terrorizing tactic. Basically what they do is they catch that cat when they can, and they do these different kind of skinnings to them and such, and they'll go and lay it out on the lady's front porch, or they'll hang it on the fence post, put it in the middle of the road so the lady has to, deal, or the man has to deal with such a horrific thing to something they've loved. So now they're passing around this terrorizing feeling, and at the same time they're observing. They're always observing us. They're always trying to figure out what's the next step, what's the next, where's our evolution going, stuff like that. Our evolution in tools, for an example, like what are we going to be cutting down next or something, or, however. So they're always trying to figure this out. They know how to categorize us. They know that police are different than the army. They know that the army is different than the ambulance service and the fire truck service and us regular people. And I stand out because of what I do. Some people watch my videos and they're kind of really taken how much is going on. And the reasons I kind of my mind ran off there, but if you just go up and look at probably my last video, it's like 18 minutes, but take the time and go through there, go through slow mode, try to zoom in if you can. When I'm zoomed as close as I am, then zoom again. Like, there's lots of different things that go on that 18 minutes. So there's a faster speed where you can go faster through it, look at all the key points in half the time, and you can write down those times or whatever, and then go back and do still screenshots and stuff, and take the time. People get mad at me and say, I don't want to take the time. And it's like, if you don't take the time, I don't care really. I'm taking this time as best as I can, and I just explain what I think you should do with your time. And if you don't, then you don't get your mind really wrapped around it, so you really do know what's going on. If you just keep floating around and going to everybody's page and stuff, and you're hearing about all these lights in the sky, and you're hearing about UFOs, and you're hearing about cat murders, and you're hearing about bird murders, and you're hearing about all these missing people, many indigenous missing people from different cultures of indigenous cultures, and it's a high number that those people go missing. It's, we're so simple. We'll just go with, it's got to be the humans, and it must be the men, and it must be these colors more than these colors. In a lot of cases, we're just right off track. And even if we're not, we at least got to get out that answer. But the details that we get in this cat stuff that's going on, and these birds here where they were turned inside out, and they're just piled on the road here, yeah. And this goes to their faking. This is a mimic, just like the one lady says, they got hit by a truck, a semi-truck. No, a semi-truck isn't, this isn't quite the same. I don't even know if an airplane ever hits a flock this large. I don't know is what I'm saying. But that isn't what it is. The guts are all turned out inside out on, if not all of them, most of them. And I just wanted to do this, and I just wanted to do this little tunk. I want to start hopefully getting people looking and saying, what's this guy talking about? Getting your minds around it. It's really hard for me to keep up this hard work when I don't. And I'm not complaining and I'm not begging like some of the yin yangs that we know are yin yangs. It's my own fault for not having Patreon going yet or whatever type thing. But I'm really to the conclusion in my own understanding of what I've been doing here is I do have to do Patreon. And I will be doing it. I'm going to ask, I got a couple of smarter minds here. I'm not into just sitting here and computer. This is hard effort for me. I wish I did have a big monitor like this. Wish. Someday when I have that big monitor and stuff, I assume that I'm going to be able to get my shoulders in better spots, my keyboard, have a keyboard instead. But one great thing for any of you cell people to use this is there's nothing better to get than that rubber tipped pen. Even when you're cut, because that's another thing that I'm starting to do. So I just don't want to get hooked up in it. But let's just go over here. And I'll go to Doink. Your videos. Oh, look at I'm live and I got 4 watching. So yeah, if we went into that one, right in this photo on this one that I got up right here, like right there, you can see the shadowings of where they are. That's the truth of what you're seeing. Right here, a little compilation. This is just the thumbnails. A little compilation pile of sand. Just, hey, Gandalf, how's it going? Good to see ya. This compilation of sand, and when you start to get into looking at the rocks and stuff that I keep trying to tell you to do, like on asphalt, I'm sitting down, I'm on the ground here, and I'm just trying to point out to you duties of theirs, and it's breaking down material. That's why our concrete is a big issue, because it's going to get way ahead of the game. I'm pretty sure that this outcoming of them in 4 years where they've really multiplied on their work habits. I get a feeling that's kind of world phenomenon. It's in the last 5-6 years. You go on some of those safari lives, different shows like that in Africa and in all these different places where they're saying, oh, we're dry, we have nothing going on and stuff. And you look at all their lush life in the proper seasons, and it's lush, beautiful life. What I talk about connects to that. Most people are going, the professionals are going, we see all this lush life, but it's the ground that's really dry and the fires are wiping everything out. And these exploding trees, that people are talking about, they don't know what they're talking about. The people that maybe have the 1 or 2 on video, they don't know what they videotaped. It's actually this way that a spark flies through the air and it went in a hole or whatever type thing. But no, this is going to be one of the heating techniques, the firing techniques, along with the lights in the sky technique. Next time you go out to a lightning little show and you're standing off your deck there and you're going, wow, that's beautiful and stuff. And it's almost like the lightning sticking around a little bit longer and stuff. Be vibrant on your talking and stuff and see if you can encourage that lightning to stay around just by nature's way. And while you're doing that, or while you're doing that with the coyotes out there, or the bear huffing out there, or whatever type thing, and you're just trying to egg them along, see if you can read anything else in the language. So in other words, with the lightning is tricky because we have a horizon. So we have to read where that lightning's coming from. Is it just shooting through the clouds and going like this through the horizon, or is it actually coming up from Earth and being directed into the clouds like this in a way where you believe it's lightning because it really sure seems like it. And at sometimes I swear I can see a volt that's just, it's almost like it's there at the whole time. You don't, in some of these cases, you don't see this volt that's going and disappears from that end or something where it's, and you get to see it come down to nothing. Because that's what a volt electricity it is. It's a whole thing of aliveness. An imagery of light isn't necessarily a whole thing of liveness the exact way a volt is. It's maybe not the same amount of an energy, obviously, and so on and so forth. Just so take your mind there when you're looking at that, those the bolts, the volt, whatever we call those, lightning bolts. Anyways, and at the same time, the cloud lighting up, what the ground lighting up. You know, when you're walking out in your Australian outbacks there and you're looking at the ground and then all of a sudden the ground really lights up for a big way. And then you look up there and you realize, oh, there's a few clouds there and stuff like that. I didn't realize that. It must be lightning and stuff like that. Think about that light shine that just happened there. Don't every time be going to thinking that it's lightning and such, because that is a mimicry. And within that mimicry, they get to do UFO presentations and so on and so forth, where our military is going, yeah, I was flying this jet and this thing's going beside me and it's going, it's just flying around me like this and so on and so forth. You know, think about it like that for a second there, Mr. Jet Guy, and think if it could be just an energy of light with that speed of light that we all talk about and stuff. Of course it's going like this and you're doing only 600 miles an hour or something and it's doing 2,000 miles an hour in split seconds, but it's allowing you to keep a range on its, with a visualness and stuff. These are all pieces of information. If you can, on my channel here, I showed that video where, so just punch in Iranian attack, you know, UFO and stuff. It'll come up on my channel. You'll find it a couple of months back there. And that light source is a new one, that's phenomenon that's going to be built more. Like that's on a real trippy level that those military guys, and they're with the whatever high caliber guns trying to shoot a piece of light that's just going around like this and tripping them out. And yeah, so that's me. And just looking for, you ask me questions. You ask me, hey, you know, you're hearing me here, so that's cool. But I hope other people ask me questions where they're saying, what are you talking about? And just get me, you know, I'll blurt out a little write up to them or whatever type thing. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Another thing about this kind of stuff, don't be too shy to go and push right here. Okay, this in particular one isn't my, I never did a write-up into that one, but sometimes I do, like this one I probably have. Like this one here is really information me, where all the score marks on this baby young tree are coming from. You go camp beside that tree for a week and realize, holy cow, the thing hardly even got wet, let alone something else happening to it in its life. You tell me. And what you're going to start realizing is you'll start realizing, oh, holy cow, they're just, you know, there's this farming practice, you know, like in our farming practice, we go out there and do a lot of pruning and stuff. And that's another thing. So you see right here, I got the forest has a true life that was not explained to us thinkers. So I'm pointing you guys with me that you're going to think. Follow me as I talk more about the real life above the life of green and bugs. So in other words, you know, everything's green, everything's bugs. Look at, oh, that's beautiful, and so on and so forth. We get to see that and we get to enjoy that and all that kind of stuff. I'm saying to you right here, I'm talking beyond that. I'm talking about this thing right here. I get into it good there. You can look at these other trees right over here and stuff, and you can see bits of fungus, different places, and mosses and stuff. And when you start to get into it, you'll start to realize for those things to be traced and traped all over the place and stuff like that, that's a lot of raccoon climbing. In other words, to put his hand into a certain moss, and then as he's climbing, that moss gets its little imprints of the very small fibers that end up going into whatever, because that's mostly how moss goes around. Now start looking in your forest or whatever, and you'll realize, holy cow, this one in particular area of the forest is a moss sanctuary, like it is farming. You can tell there's farming, and if your mind can get into that, why you start to go around in there, you'll start to realize, because moss does have rooting to it, right? And you'll start to realize spots where you can lift it up, where you're starting to detect somebody else has lifted it up. I almost said people, because that's where we go. Somebody else has lifted it up. Can a bear do that and put it back down? You'll start to notice where it's been removed, and maybe you'll notice in other areas where you'll see, hey, that looks like that moss has maybe been recently put there. So you go in, you take your look, and you can lift it up and realize, how come this doesn't have moss is taking over everything there. Thank you, Jolene. And that's a perfect example. And that's, they're farmers. They're huge farmers, and they farm it all. You know where our science goes with that, Jolene? Our scientists are saying a crazy answer like this. They're saying, well, when we study the seed of trees, we haven't found it yet, but we believe there's a genetic code in there that gives the seed information to bring types of moss to it, or grow that moss or whatever type thing when that seed turns into a tree, and so on and so forth. And they're guessing at that. And the reason why they're guessing at it, because they're also going, this moss doesn't fly. This moss is like this. Why is this moss now all of a sudden in that country? And from our 1920 reports, there was not that moss in that country, and different things like that. So we can't blame the Mexicans for bringing certain bugs up here anymore, because who knows what our beings from our forest here in North America are actually taking down to Mexico. And I'll tell you, they'll be taking stuff that generally helps, but these fires and stuff where I say they're connected don't seem like they help, do they? These cat murders and mutilations doesn't seem like they help, do they? These people, indigenous people, whatever different kinds of women. Thank you very much for that. She says you are exactly right. Many kind of, lots of people, children, women, and stuff like that, that we know somehow just went lost in the forest. Right away, they're tagged. They're like, we don't go into the forest now without, it's not like Patty Days anymore of 1967, where she was probably amongst a big group there. But now that big group is really, really many tribes all over the place around the world. They're not so deep in the forest and just coming into our area and doing the work and stuff like that. They're in our area. They're comfortable living throughout all our valleys here and stuff. Where I camp, different areas I'll go to, within days they start to flock around that area and stuff like that, where they come in bigger numbers. I can pick up on it, and people pick up on it in my videos and stuff. And that is because of what I'm doing. So remember that always as a warning, that when you're sticking your nose into anybody's business, they're going to stick it back, and they're going to try to figure out why. These guys do mind tricks. They play with your mind. They try to trip you out. They try to make you feel crazy. They know there's a lot of crazies out here of us humans, and they see us going along, and we always think that guy's another guy that something went wrong on his drugs and stuff. But no, it can be these guys tripping them out enough. There's those couple of doctor guys out there that are, the Sasquatch are talking to me, and they're telling me that they don't like what we're doing to the environment. Oh, God. Really? And in both of them, I think, say that. And I'm not trying to put down the guys. I'm saying that I suspect, Because the wife of the one guy goes, I never hear them. He's the special one they talk to, or whatever type thing. And it's because the beings are smart enough to know the few times that they do it, because they don't do it much by the sounds of it. But they have just, and he makes up the words, I'm sure, and he makes up the understanding that he has, and he goes with the most simple thing that are environments and problems and stuff. And it's not freaking problems. It's the most beautiful environment in many, many, many countries. Everywhere. We just keep thinking we're seeing this invisible gas issue. But our trees are super happy. Our oceans are very happy. The only problem we're having any problems is when we are making mistakes now. And we try to clean up those mistakes, and that's the proper way to do it. And coming to an understanding with these beings that of realizing that, yeah, those few things I was saying earlier that don't sound good and stuff, they're doing them.